little slow. Going live, going. You're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got it all straightened out. No more gremlins in the system again. We have got it fixed because guess what? We are troopers, and we are not going to let you down. As always, I plow through things thick or thin. And tonight we got a great guest on. We got Ryan Serio again. We haven't had you on for a long time. And my co-host, Lucky Smith. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, last time we had such a talk about your dreams and how you had them all cataloged and how, I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, I think everybody was sitting on the edge of their seat for most of the show.
Yeah, it was really fun sharing a lot of the things a lot of the dreams and astral travels. I just put them all together. I think it helps to write everything down, and it even helps to remember dreams or even astral travel when you write them down too, because it creates these gateways in your own mind that you are willing to open them up to new experiences. And I find, like, the more I write down my dreams, the more intense they are, the more vivid they are, and the easier it is for me to get out of body in those circumstances. So I definitely recommend that people write down all of their dreams, even if in the beginning it might be hard. You only remember a few things. Eventually, like, you're going to get better at remembering, especially if you write them down. So even if you write down like 2 sentences, still good enough, and just keep going with it. I think it's a very important part of spiritual practice, because then you're dealing with the unconscious and subconscious mind.
You know, I think you're really totally right. I know I started a dream journal once, and I kind of went to the side of the road. I'm really bad at it. I should be better at it. Better shut this up. I bet you guys can hear all that noise from the air conditioner. But it's one of those things you really got to dedicate yourself to in a way if you really want to know. And like the other day, I had a dream about I was a superhero of some sorts. Not a really great superhero, but I was one nonetheless. And I can't remember what it was all about. I did remember for like the first 10 or 15 minutes, but that's all I can recall, as I kept thinking I was some superhero. Lucky, do you keep a dream journal? I know you're faithful at doing the affirmations, but what about a dream journal?
Yeah, I do, but my dreams tend to very, very simplistic. Lately, it's all about work and modifying and getting different things about work and worrying about that. But for me, I mean, yeah, I write them down, but when I first wake up, but then I don't look at them until I go to bed. So yeah, so actually I can't remember any of them. That's weird. If I look at them, I can remember my list, but
that is so true. Is it not true with you guys too? When you write down the dream and you read it later, you can recall it, but otherwise it's gone. Why is that?
Every time. I cannot remember any of my dreams right now, but if I look at my list, oh yeah, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes what I do, if I have a dream that I can't write down right away, sometimes I'll even like text or email a friend, just say like, oh, I had a weird dream, this and this happened. And then like I can see it later, like after I totally forgot it, like, oh, this is my dream. And then more will be recalled in my mind, that I can write it down more completely in my own journal.
Nice. We got a lot of people in the house today, and they are all spectacular dreamers. We got Brenda, Milky's mom. Big Al is in the house, and I was going to do some stuff for the cards, Al, but I got a call out last night, and I didn't get home. I left at 2:00 in the morning, and I didn't get home till 7:30 tonight. So bear with me. I'm going to have to do that. They're all on my phone here somewhere, and I can't get to them. But anyway, Isby's in the house, and we're going to do some shorts later. Gaza Cav is having his first hailstorm in Australia. And Centurion's son is in the house. Scotty Boy, no typos in his system. And Courtney MC is in the house. Thank you. Stars of the Morning Light. She's been doing some good shows. I know she did one on the Emerald Tablets. I did catch some of that. I was working hard, so I didn't get to listen all, but I will catch up on it later. And I do have a Emerald Tablets book here somewhere, and like this. And Courtney, I got to get you on. We're going to talk about that because that is a good subject too. Ryan, you wanted to talk about astral travel a little bit tonight, and that is a fascinating subject. And I had who was it? Preston Dennett on. I don't know if you caught his show with me, but he was talking about outer body experiences. And is that kind of the same thing, or is astral travel a whole different setup?
I personally consider out-of-body experiences to be astral travel because that's the difference between that and a lucid dream, in my opinion. Because in a lucid dream, like you kind of wake up in a dream, but you stay in that dream world. Whereas astral travel, you get out of your body, and it could be right away, or you could catch yourself in a dream and you could find like a portal out of it where you can enter into the astral, but everything you feel, you sense everything, you remember everything, your mind works, your senses work. So it's like being in an in-between state. It's not a dream in that it's not all in your mind. Like you can still sense it and you feel things like you're out of your physical body, but you have a different body. I guess you can call it an etheric body that you step into. It's basically like a vehicle that's not your physical body, but it serves as a body in the higher realms. So that's what I consider astral traveling, when you enter into that body and you can pretty much go anywhere you want. So you can just put your mind to it and then you can just kind of travel there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's kind of what he had talked about with the same thing is he would think of a place and poof, you're right there, just like that. And like I said, I was really fascinated. I got his book, and he was saying things like he had to start out slow, now and work his way up, and he had to write things down, just like your dream journal, kind of.
Yeah.
You know, and go like that. Now, Lucky, have you astral traveled, dream, or done any of that?
I've tried a few times. I've had the spinning, I've gotten close, but I've never actually done it. When you do the astral travel, do you get the silver cord? I've heard about the silver cord between your body and your soul, or your spirit. Your spirit as you're traveling.
Yeah. If I want to get back for whatever reason, that's what I do. I follow the silver cord back.
So you have a silver cord. So you see a silver cord. Okay.
Well, I don't see it, but I feel it because it's kind of like in the back and it kind of pulls me back.
Oh, I see that thing. Yeah. I don't know anything about it. So.
Sometimes when I astral travel and I let myself go to a certain place, like I'll feel myself being pulled by the silver cord, like toward that place. So like I'll go backwards, I'll float backwards. So like I could,
interesting.
Yeah. So I could either, so if I'm asking specifically to see one of my guides, that's how I usually travel. I get pulled by my silver cord. And if I try to just journey somewhere by myself, I basically just float there myself without the use of the silver cord. I'm sure it's there, but I don't actually feel it. I usually feel it when I snap back into something, whether it's into a different realm to meet a different spirit guide or to go back into my body. So like if I'm in the astral and something happens, then I know I could just like snap my fingers and be like, okay, pull me back with my silver cord. And then I'm back in my body within seconds. Like you just feel like snap and then you're back.
Okay.
Wow.
Because I consider astral travel, that's from my reference, is to go somewhere else, like travel to a city or travel to an actual physical place. Well, spiritual, I've gone spiritual places, met my guides and stuff like that. But unfortunately for me, when I go into where the spiritual side, I'm not physical. I'm more of a energy being. So I don't have a physical body. So that's a different thing. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but
yeah. So your energetic body, if it's not really physical, it could be spherical. So this is
yes, sphere, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a spherical, like an orb, basically. Your energy body is like an orb of
no
light.
hands. I'm a circle. Yes. That's exactly what it is.
That's good that you're able to do that then, because that Personally, I think it's easier to go into like a semi-physical body. So, but that is really good. So that's a form of astral traveling, and that is the one that like people have talked about for centuries. They talk about having a body of light that's spherical. The Greeks talked about it a lot in the works of the Platonists, the ones that came after Plato, expounded on it. But yeah, that's how they describe it, as a way of theurgy, to meet and commune with the gods. They mentioned a spherical body that is beyond anything that is physical. So what I'd like to basically expand upon is that there are different layers of the astral plane. I'm not sure if you could call everything astral plane, but there are many different layers beyond the physical dense matter. And the closest one, I guess you could call it maybe the etheric realm, which is the densest one closest to the earth. So like, for example, the Hermetics call it the zone girdling the earth, because it's basically just like a copy of the physical world, and everything that you see in the physical, you see in that particular realm in the astral. It's the lowest realm in the astral, only there are certain differences. Like that's where you can find some of the elemental spirits and other things that you might not see in the earth realm. But as far as the locations and landscapes, everything is identical. So if you were to exit out of your body and just stay within that realm, the etheric zone that's a copy of the earth, you could basically just walk around your room. Like you can, like what I usually do is I start there. So like I'll catch myself when I'm drifting above, because you rise from your astral cord like 3 to 6 feet above your bed. And then if you catch yourself in that instant, you can notice that you're out of body. And then the key is to kind of get vertical. You can push yourself vertically. And then once you do that, then you're more stable and grounded. And then you could kind of like float down onto the floor, and like you can see where you live, your house or your apartment. You can go outside for a certain amount of time. It's hard, for me at least, it's hard to really stay in that earthly zone, because I usually end up just going to further deeper realms into the astral, but I still maintain that body. Like I don't really go into the spherical body very often. Sometimes I find myself, if I'm in a deep dream, and catch myself in the deep dream, but usually if I'm doing classic astral projection where I'm like close to the waking state, then I usually stay in that secondary astral body, that where I keep my senses. And it's basically easier to remember in that state too, because it's so similar to the earth realm. But so there are realms, they're like what's called like the emotional realm and the mental realm, and there are all correspondences in the astral plane. So there's so many different places you can travel. And you could even say, like, I want to go to this particular realm. Like if you're interested in Atlantis, you could say, take me to Atlantis. And that's always a trip. I actually went there last few days ago in the astral. That was my last astral projection. And that's always a crazy thing. It's a lot of like, you see a lot of crazy things when you astral travel to Atlantis, because it's so different from the physical world that we know of. And it's so fluid and changeable that it's like a totally different world. It's like something so bizarre.
Well, you know, we did a few shows. We're going to do a few more Atlantis stuff.
Yeah.
Fill us in on some of the Atlantis stuff. I mean, we came up with so many things, different
I heard you
ideas.
guys doing shows on Atlantis too. That was really
we're still working on it. I mean, there's still so many possibilities and things, and I mean, we could have 10 shows and never cover it all. So what did you tell us your Atlantis stuff a little bit here, if you don't mind?
So when I travel to Atlantis,
we're still working on it. I mean,
it's basically like a totally different realm than what I'm used to with astral travel, because it's not really similar to the earth realm in any way. It's more like, you think of time as like cyclical, and like you go beyond like the normal tree of life type mentality from the earth realm. Like you go beyond the abyss, everything just manifests right away when you're in that realm. And like it's really extremely powerful, which is one reason that a lot of people try to avoid it because it could be corrupting in many ways, especially since, like, the fall of Atlantis. Everybody has heard the mythology about the fall and how there was a war and humankind basically destroyed itself. And like when you astral travel to the realms in Atlantis, then you can see exactly how all of this happened, basically how people got corrupted from this incredible power where they're able to tap into both the spiritual and the physical realm all at one time. And they basically just had some amazing technology, but they just use it for destructive purposes. And this includes medical technology, where they're able to heal in certain ways. I think a lot of that had to do with, at least in my, like the things that they showed me, a lot of it had to do with like medical surgical procedures, because they knew the systems well, like how we have a lot of great information now with genetics and precision medicine. It seems like they were very good with systems biology and like animals to humans. It really, if I could take the travels literally, it does seem that they were able to produce some hybrid beings that had like parts of different animals that were really kind of freaky. And I think that might have been the prototype for some of maybe the Egyptian gods too, since they had like the different gods that had different zootypes based on like how the certain characters of things. I think in Atlantis, that was all really developed from both a medical perspective and from a mythological perspective, because they really knew about the different realms from the spiritual down to the physical, and understood like all of the different typologies of the animal kingdom, and basically were able to harness that in ways that were superior to pretty much anything that we have now. So when I travel there, I see like when I went there a couple of days ago, like I would see like these basically creatures that were kind of like one had a face similar to a pig. Some of them were like just looked like giant prehistoric bears, just crazy stuff like that. And like it was all preserved, and like the sentinels there, like the demons, the gods, the angels that were over Atlantis, like they shapeshift like crazy. Like it's very unstable there, very fluid. So you just have to catch yourself so that you don't go back to your body, because it's just so much crazy stuff happening all around you. Unlike even like the underworld realms or the heavenly realms, if you travel there in the astral, it's just like a totally different world, and everything is based on certain gateways. So like you'll have gateways to all these different places, kind of like wormholes. So I think that's the best way to put it. You can go into like a wormhole in one place, and then you can end up like going like parallel looping into different times, different periods, different places. It's really, really crazy in Atlantis, basically. But a lot of the stuff that I've been shown had to do with the fall of man, and how it's important for us to know this now, because basically like we're seeing a lot of the same things happening over again, where people are just inventing some very powerful technology that a lot of people just that are using it can't handle it, and we're opening up all of these portals and playing with energy that's kind of beyond our scope at this point, that could be very destructive. And like you've seen this basically since the 1940s with the atomic bombs, and now things are a little more subtle, but you could still see some of the same problems that have led to all the issues with the planet itself, first with the ozone layer and then with climate change. So we really don't know what we're doing, and we have all this technology, and it's very similar to what happened with Atlantis. Only now at this point, we're ignorant about it more, because we don't have the power or the guidance of the spiritual realm. Now we're in a state where it's more materialistic, but we're learning all of these things on our own based on like material science. But the end result is kind of the same, that we're developing all this technology that is corrupting us, that we can't use properly. That if we could use it properly with proper spiritual alignment and self-mastery, then the world would be a lot better. but it's basically how you use the technology. And that goes with the mind state of the people using it. Like if you just want to use this technology for destruction or not caring about the earth and the consequences, then you're going to end up screwing yourself, because everything is really connected in this way. And this is one thing that I see in Atlantis, how the interconnectedness of everything in the world, between people, and not only in the realm that we see, but in the spiritual realm, coming from the heavens and the different levels, the different layers of the astral realm. It's all connected. So we just don't see it from where we are, because we are kind of isolated. Our consciousness is isolated within this body, this physical plane, but there's really so much more that you can see once you open yourself up to these energies in the astral plane. And that's one reason I think it's really important to really attempt to do some of this work, so that you can know this in your physical life, so that you can make better decisions.
Oh, absolutely better decision. I got some good questions for you out of all of that. And okay, so on one of our previous Atlantis shows, Lucky said that his guides, I don't know which ones you talked to, but he said that the Atlantis people were very smart, like super smart kind of. And they had this technology, and whatever they use it for, they kind of, good, bad, or otherwise, it doesn't matter. They destroyed everything got destroyed. The question is now, are we on the same track? Scientists are putting heads of things and swapping bodies and DNA and making pig people, and the island of Dr. Moreau is now real, and the question is, are we on the same path? The only problem is we got the IQ of a small child compared to them.
Yeah. So basically, that's what I meant when I said that now we're basically doing the same thing, only with more ignorance of the spiritual realm. So it's like we're just fiddling with stuff. Like we understand a lot of this stuff on the mental realm, but no other realm. So like this world in particular, very much in the mental realm as well as the physical plane, not as much with the emotional or higher than the mental realm, the spiritual realm. A lot of people don't even believe in God or gods or spirit of any kind now, at least, especially the ones that are developing and using this technology. And that's kind of dangerous. I mean, in a way, it's good that you want to be agnostic to certain things, but at the same time, you're walking around blindly with some technology that could deal with, like, open up these pathways that could lead to catastrophic events if we don't really harness them correctly. And I mean, that's not to try to fearmonger, because a lot of this technology that we're developing, I think, is amazing, and it could be put to great use. It's just that, I mean, look at who spends money on the technology more than anyone else. Like, for example, the military industrial complex spends probably more on technology than anybody else. So that's what most of this technology is going to: warfare. So that's a red flag in itself.
And that is the government. The government will try to weaponize pretty much everything. And that is a good question that I want to ask you, because you probably astral traveled more than most. And if astral travel is possible, okay, and you can do it on a regular basis, and you could travel to places like Atlantis or other realms or things like that, is it possible to go back or to astral travel there and get the technology, bring it back here and use it? I mean, because if it's possible, the government probably got a fleet of guys that could astral travel and are going back there saying, yep, this is how you build this. This is how you swap a head from here and put it there. And this is how you make a spaceship. This is how you make a wormhole. This is how you do this. And this is how, I mean, if I was the government, I'd have hundreds of guys doing that every day, just so I can get all the information. So I can king of the world, you know how it is. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I'm nowhere near that level yet because a lot of the things I see, I don't particularly understand. Like I could see it and describe it, but I don't always understand how it operates. But I don't see why some people couldn't be able to figure stuff out and make some connections and bring it back. I think it's definitely possible. If
Yeah.
you're really, really adept at astral travel and if you are able to understand, like make that connection, because you can preserve your consciousness, you can remember stuff in the astral, just like it's in the physical, sometimes even better, because like when you're in the astral and you can recall everything, like it's different than it's the same in one aspect. It's the same as when you're in the physical because you can use your mind, but like here, like you could be absent-minded about certain things because you're thinking of all these other things. But when you're in the astral, everything is basically in your face, so it's easier when you're in that state of consciousness to recall it. Or it, well, so one thing that just popped in my mind was just think of Nikola Tesla. That's basically how he invented all this stuff, like without even knowing it. He said he would just see things in his mind, like he would visualize things complete. And then he would say, oh, I'm going to do this so that I can make what I'm seeing. So that's definitely in the astral. He was just somehow gifted enough to see it in the physical realm. Like he was able to tap into the astral realm without even leaving his body. But he saw these contraptions, this technology, and he said, I'm going to make this. And like, this is how you do it. And then he just went day and night trying to like build some stuff that he saw. And look at what he was able to do. He basically invented electricity.
Yeah. Well, and then in that same thought, the question is did he go in the astral realm and see this and then he brought it back, or did he think of it and then build it in his head and then bring it back, or which way was it? Was it his actual ideas, or was it something he saw and said, hey, that's really good in the astral realm, I'm going to bring it here and I'm going to
I mean, he said he saw it. He said it was visions.
Yeah.
At least that's what was in his biography.
Yeah, but I mean, how would you really explain that? I mean, and it's like, well, lucky you probably got the most experience with this. It'd be like you telling everybody you can hear people in your head. What do they think? You got to kind of dumb it down for them, don't you?
Absolutely, because you can't tell, oh, I got this information from the person behind me or the person. No, you have to say, I think, and you have to lead them along the information that they provide and connect the points. But when it comes to traveling back to Atlantis, I'm at a different ideas, because if they're in Atlantis, do they know you're there? And if not, let's just say the government people who travel back there to, let's say, copy the technology. I could watch a Russian bake a cake and I could get all the ideas and see what they did. But when I bring it home, am I able to make that cake the Russian made? Because I don't speak the language that they did. I have an idea what they did, but can I take the points together? I think Nikola Tesla had the mindset that he could connect the pieces, but I don't think a lot of people who work for government can. They just, kind of put things together and make close enough. And that's why we live the life that we're living right now, that we're copying Atlantis in a really bad way. But that's just my idea. And my guys don't talk about that kind of thing. That's not their point. That's not their place. So I don't know anything about whether the government's copying Atlantis. I do know that they're copying some stuff and making a whole rotten mess of it, but that's about it. It's not your problem, sort of thing, they tell me.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we do know that if the government could, they would. And then, of course, they would use it for a weapon. Military spending on technology is more than anything else. And we know they've had programs like remote viewing, all these other, why not? I'm sure. So
the government itself, we know that they spend money that disappears and they're hiding it. And I think of most of the budget just disappears. And that's what the government does, and they can do anything they want. And, you know, and as long as these people are doing the research and getting something out of it, they'll keep funding them.
Mm.
That's what we live in. That's the government we live in.
There
Yeah.
you go, Ryan. You can
Yeah.
be a
So
government subcontractor for astral travel if you could figure out how to bring it back.
Yeah, well, let's just say I wouldn't be surprised if they have tried to do it, but as far as their success, I don't know. I think
Yeah, that's I don't
to
know
a
either.
large extent, though, a
Mhm.
lot of this knowledge from Atlantis is guarded by
Mm.
beings beyond our comprehension. So I think because of what happened, I heard this in the astral and also from people who have dealt with beings in Atlantis too. They've said the same thing, that a lot of this knowledge is just guarded by these higher beings, way higher than human souls, that like you can only get to a certain point, and if you try to understand too much and you can be corrupted by it, then they'll like,
Well, that's good news.
That makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Mhm.
That they are stealing some stuff from Atlantis, but only what they're allowed to steal just to
Mhm.
keep them, you know,
Crumbs.
busy. Yeah,
Could be,
except
yeah, like
crumbs.
you can-
Yeah, give them the crumbs
they-
and
Mhm.
yeah, this makes
Like
sense.
Yeah, like maybe they have the capacity to travel to these realms, but like they can only get certain aspects from it. And to them, it might be amazing stuff, but like it could still be just scratching the surface, like an iceberg. Like they could think it's, oh, this is a great land, and then meanwhile there's so much underneath that is totally foreign to them, beyond their comprehension. Or maybe they know it, that it's there, and just this is all that they can get, and they're happy with it. But I
This
think
makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
giving a small
Mhm.
child a toy tool. The kid, to his mind, thinks, "Oh, this is fantastic."
yeah,
But you know, and that's what's okay. Give him give him just enough so he thinks he's got something great. And of
Yeah.
course, the government thinks, "Oh, wow, this is awesome," but it's actually a piece of the iceberg, just to keep him
Yeah.
out of trouble. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yes, it does. It does. But here's another one. Is okay, you're talking about going to these different realms. Now I've heard that there's some areas that are blocked. Is that true when you go?
Okay, so I mean, there are gatekeepers to certain realms,
Mhm.
and like sometimes if you try to go too far before your mind is ready, then these gatekeepers, or even your own like guardian angels or spirit guides, will stop you from entering those places.
Mhm.
I think if you are ready, you can go anywhere you can. So I don't know where it ends, basically, like how far you can go. There are gatekeepers in certain realms that will prevent certain people from going, but other people can go. And I think it's a matter of like, are you ready to, like, can you handle this stuff? But yeah, and there are some people that are unable to, that can astral travel proficiently, but they're blocked off from Atlantis. So I've heard people, a few people say that, like they're actually good at astral traveling, but they can't get into the Atlantean realm at all.
Mhm.
So it's just that it could be something with your own soul and the history of your soul and your mentality and just a bunch of things intermingled that can either permit you to pass through a certain realm but not others, and then other people could go to other realms you can't go to but not the ones you can. So there's definitely some gatekeeping spirits that will stop you from entering certain realms for whatever reasons. And I think that's usually a good thing. I don't think that's, some people look at gatekeepers as negative, but I think it's to protect us more than anything. I don't think that they're trying to like block us to hide us from any great knowledge. I think it's just that we're traveling off to like dangerous areas for us, and they're like, no, you go back this way. Just like, again, with the child analogy, like if a kid's like in a zoo and like gets too close to the animal cages, like, yeah, get back here.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Courtney. I don't know if you know Courtney, but she's from the Stars of the Morning Light. She's been doing a lot of shows. She's been on here a couple of times, and she says she goes to the Akashic records quite often. And obviously she must astral travel there. She says, why not everyone can go to the Akashic records, and all that there's a process of purification. Have you ever been to the Akashic Records area, or is that not someplace you go?
Yeah. Usually it's because one of my guides takes me there. I've been there so many times, but to me, at least, it's presented like a huge library with many floors. And like they show me certain things, like they could take out a book, but then when you open the book, at least the way it appears to me, not in words, but kind of like in moving images, kind of like a movie. Like you open the book and then you see like a movie play right before you. And this could be any number of things, and it could be something historical. Usually, at least for me personally, it's something that's important for my own development at the time. So it could be something for my own soul, basically. But I have heard of a lot of people going to the Akashic record and actually seeing old books, like ancient books, maybe something that was lost in the Library of Alexandria, or seeing things in certain historical times. That could all be done by going through the Akashic records. So yeah, that's definitely possible. I think that, and I think the Akashic records are open to anyone, because I pretty much everybody that I've talked to that knows about the Akashic records and can astral travel, they've gone there. So I think that's one of the things that you can pretty much go there, like that's open to anyone. That's like something that is to feed your own soul.
Like the public library, only for spirits.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know how other people experience the Akashic records, but for me, it is like a library, I guess, because that's how your mind like sees a record keeping. And so other people have also told me that it also appears like a library with many different floors as well.
Yep. Saturnian Sun says lots of files. Mary says, me too, a huge library. There you go.
Yeah.
And Scotty Boy says, I've been to that library a few times. So anyway, so yeah, maybe some of the people here have been to there. I know Courtney has, so like I says, the spiritual library, he says spiritual library. Perfect. Yeah. But yeah, going there for your spiritual, whatever you need to know, I guess. I guess I don't know what would be there. What else is there? I mean, just you go there for your own knowledge, or do you set your intentions of what you want to look at while you're there?
You could. I mean, your intentions are one of the most important things in the astral plane, because what you set out to do, you can achieve it. So basically, you could say, so for example, the way I start when I find myself in the astral and I want to do something, I'll say like, source, take me to this place, or source, bring me to this guy, source, bring me to the Akashic records, you could say. And then you could have the intent to go to the Akashic records to see something in particular.
Interesting. I love it. So anyway, okay, so now I know I'm the average Joe, and I know everybody out there's thinking the same thing, that hasn't done it. What is okay, so I'm going to concentrate on getting out of my body. I'm going to try to do it in slow steps. I'm probably going to be an orb of some sort, more or less, because I'm not going to have this body. But I'm going to start out slowly, and can you just walk through walls? Do you?
Oh yeah, that's
are you ever stopped by anything?
Because when you're in your astral body, you could walk through walls, you can fly. Like, there's no limits, basically. There is some version of space that you need to travel to. Like at least I haven't gotten to the level, except, I mean, you could create wormholes. So actually, me and Trina talked about that in a previous. Previously, but like you can create a wormhole like to go through somewhere, but usually I can't even think of that, and I'll just say like, let me go to this place, and then I'll either get pulled backwards by my silver cord, or I'll kind of float there. But yeah, so what I typically do, like, you're going to start off in a very dense place, because when you begin in like astral traveling and you first get out of body, you're still very close to your body, you're in bed, you see your surroundings, so you're still in a very dense place. So the first thing you do is get vertical, so that grounds you into the astral, so that you don't return back to your body, because otherwise it's very easy to get pulled back if you stay like horizontal, just laying above your body. Like even if you try to move forward or different directions, it's very easy to get pulled right back. But once you're vertical, that kind of stabilizes you. And then usually you have to do something like you either walk through your wall or through a door. And again, there's different levels of density. So if it's very dense, I've actually like walked into my wall in the astral and like not been able to go through. But like you just have to like force your way through. You have to think like, I'm not in my body anymore. There's no resistance. And then that kind of dissolves the resistance. And then the higher levels you get, there's no resistance whatsoever. You could just float, walk through whatever you want, and it's easy. So, I mean, the hardest thing is basically just to get to the point where you can leave your body and walk out of your room. That's like what I think you really need dream control first. And you really need to focus on not giving your energy away like during the day so that you can internalize it and keep your energy within, hermetically sealed, so that you can travel to these worlds, get out of your body. Because like the further you get into the astral, the easier it is to just go different places. The hardest parts, first getting there and then getting out of your immediate vicinity, like getting out of your room and into the place that you want to go to. And then once you're there, as long as you don't go into like, as long as you don't lose consciousness and go into the dream state, then you could pretty much stay there for as long as you want until you just call yourself back through the silver cord. So that's like the two main things, just to, and I'll add the other thing to it, just to prevent going into the dream state as a third. So one, you have to just get into the state where you can leave your body, and that requires a lot of meditation, keeping your energy inside, not giving your energy to things that will vampirize it and take it away. So you want to get into that perfect Zen state so that you can leave your body first of all. Then you want to get away from your body once you're out of it so that you don't get sucked back into it and you could like exit. And then the third thing is once you exit and go into these far off realms, you don't want to just lose your consciousness into the dream state, because that happens sometimes too, where you could start off in the astral, but you end up in a dream because you can't hold that consciousness, even though you don't go back to your body and wake up. Like you just drift off into a dream state, and then you kind of forget stuff, and it's more like a and you get more into like a crazy vivid dreams rather than like something that where you're in control and guiding it. You instead get overtaken by the surroundings. So those are the three main issues with astral projecting that you need to really overcome and master in order to become proficient. And I mean, it's hard. I can't astral travel every day. If I can astral travel once a week, I'm very happy. Usually it's once every couple of weeks, or yeah, maybe twice a month on average. Some weeks it's more, some months it's more, but I'd say like typically once or twice a week. I mean, once or twice every week or two.
Okay. Mary Wins, you are so smart. I was just about to ask something on that similar order. She's wondering if are entities able to enter your body while astral traveling?
Yes. Yeah. And that's something I've utilized to my advantage, especially when you're in realms that are foreign to you and you trust a spirit ahead of time. Because I have a lot of spirit guides that I talk to just in like at my altar, and I could call them in. I could either meet them or even call them into my body to possess me when I'm in the astral, and that provides an incredible amount of protection. So like if you can have an entity possess you, then you're just so much stronger in the astral plane. Like you don't have to worry about parasitic energies coming in if you have a god in your body, because they'll stay away from them, and if they don't, then you just destroy them. So that, I mean, and I'm not sure if she's talking about like a negative entity possess you. That I luckily never happened. I think for the most part, you have enough strength that the negative entities can't feed on you as easily as when you're in a physical body and are unaware of them, because the human soul is so powerful in itself. Like the higher you get, the more powerful you are. And when you're in the astral, you're already pretty powerful because you overcome a lot of things just to get there. So it's difficult for any negative energy, negative entity to have its way with you. You really would have to, like the only way that a negative entity could possess you is if it kind of tricks you into doing it, like by pretending to be a friend. That could happen. So you just have to follow your intuition in that case. So I have had some, I guess they're called like trickster spirits. So you just have to notice their energy. Their energy is always very much lower than like the entities that you want to associate with.
And I think you're right. Courtney, who's done this quite a few times, says, in my life experience, the astral is a very corrupt, tricky place that masks itself to trap you. And yes, entities there can be liars. So I think you're, probably tricksters, liars. Yeah. So yeah, and see that there was one thing that I had a thought of the other day, and it's okay. So we are energy, right? And you can't destroy energy. But here's the but part. If you can't destroy energy, but you could transmute energy, are there, say, for simple terms, I would say, are there energy vampires out there? So while you're astral traveling or whatever, they suck your energy and you wake up, you forget what you were astral traveling, and you go, man, I'm really tired. I don't know why I feel so drained. I was sleeping all night, but I feel like I ran a 50-mile dash.
Yeah, so that's possible. I mean, like if you're dreaming, then probably more likely than if you're in the astral and fully conscious, but there are very vampiric beings. So like some of them will trick you into giving them your energy, like either trickster spirits or like incubi, succubi could do that too. Sexually, they could take your sexual energy so you think you're getting something, but you're really depleting. That's another class of entity that's known to do that. If anyone has experiences with those little grays, whatever the hell they are, some people think they're aliens, some people, I don't know what they are, but they're just vile little things. They'll take your energy and then zap you with some technology that tries to like take that. So like what they do, they kind of like try to make you forget, erase your memory. So the reason that I figured this out was because one tried to do this when I was possessed by a god, and just it was too weak at that point. So I was able to just like kill it if they can be killed, but it seemed like it was dead. But so those are some nasty entities too. There are some pretty nasty ones, but you basically just have to keep your own energy very high to avoid being sucked into these traps. I think the hardest ones are the ones that try to trick you into giving that energy because you think that they might have some benefit for you. Like some of the other really low level entities, you can just kind of kick around as long as they don't have like technology like the Greys that can like zap your mind like from remembering anything. But it is like you can tell who's human on the astral because it's the same type of energy that you have. You could tell like what spirits are higher than humans, and you can tell what spirits are gods because gods have like the energy that's just like beyond anything that you've experienced as a human. So there are, which spirits that you can trust, and if they're lower energy than you, then don't trust them. And if they're about the same energy as you, which could be either a human that might be vampiric itself, if it's if it's a person that just has negative intentions, or if it's a lower spirit that might be kind of close to the human energy, like smart enough, at least in the mental realm, to trick someone, then it basically trust your intuition. And if the energy seems off in the least bit, then just ignore that spirit. And if you have to, bind it, and if not, just leave. And if it doesn't let you leave, then you can start doing like binding and creating force fields around yourself and like casting it away, or calling in your guides. They like your guides will always help you if you're stuck in the astral and you call them if you're in trouble. So like these are some things to consider. But I mean, out of all the times that I astral travel, this is I'd say like I've encountered these negative spirits not very often, every once in a while, but it's pretty odd if these negative spirits will impact me in any way. So it's not something to prevent you from trying, because it's not like a common thing, at least in my experience. And when it does happen, then I'm able to pretty much call in for reinforcements if I can't handle it myself. So I wouldn't let any my advice would be to anyone that wants to astral project, don't let that hold you back. The fact that there's negative entities, there's plenty of negative human entities around us in the 3D world. So the astral plane is a great place to learn a lot of things, and I wouldn't let something like that hold you back, especially when you're at a higher level consciously, that you can detect trickery easier than you can in the physical world, where people are better at hiding their true intentions.
Mark, he said that the Greys, this was even before you started talking about it, he says the Greys don't ask permission. So he already knew that they were kind of bad. Now,
Yeah,
Lucky, I got one for you. Since we're talking about all this astral thing and spirits and floating around out there. Okay, now you can see your guides or the spirits around you, right? Okay.
Yes.
Have you ever seen anybody that was astral traveling?
No.
No. Okay. Now,
No.
I mean, is that possible? I mean,
Absolutely possible, because they're in their spiritual self. It's just, unfortunately, the people that are closest to me aren't as spiritually aware as I am, unfortunately. So people who would astral travel towards me, there just aren't enough of them, I imagine. So I imagine that, actually, I don't know. So if someone astral traveled, I mean, some people have said they've been near me and I haven't experienced them. So maybe that's one of my blocks. Maybe physical human beings are what I can't see, but spiritual I can see. I don't know.
And many
That's
of
weird.
will be
I
unconscious.
never thought of it. Yeah.
Like since most of the time when you're in the dream state, you're not astral traveling, you're unconscious. Most of the people that I do encounter are in that state where they can't, like I can visit somebody like a friend and try to talk to them, but they're kind of like vegetables because they're in an unconscious state. Like the only, like maybe, like sometimes they'll say like, oh, I thought about you last night. Like, oh, really? But like, it's hard to really like get two people astral projecting at the same time unless they're both really, really adept at it. Like a lot of times, if I try to visit somebody I know that that we make plans ahead of time, like either I'll be unconscious or they'll be unconscious. Like I'll still know it's them. I'll feel their energy. Sometimes I can even see their physical features, but there's just no connection on that same level. It's just like they're just sleeping.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because I was wondering, like I said, I interviewed at Preston Dennett, and he said one time he met a lady that he astral traveled to, and she could see him. And that was the only time that anybody that was in the real world could actually see him. And I'm thinking, well, you got to have some kind of ability to do that. And that's what I was thinking, maybe. But then again, somebody would have to astral travel to you, Lucky, to see, so you could see them. It wouldn't be like,
true.
And you might see them walking. You wouldn't know the difference anyway, but they ain't coming up and saying, "Hey, I know you."
Most of the time, if I like when I do see other humans when I'm astral traveling, I think that either they're just random people that are on the same frequency as me and ended up in the same place. A, B, they could be dead humans and maybe spirit guides. Like maybe if they know me, then spirit guides from past lives that are watching over me now, like ancestors or people from former incarnations that are helping me at this time. those are like the main two, like either spirit guides or just random people on the same frequency. I think when I see people that are also conscious while I'm conscious in the astral.
Mhm. Wow. Very cool. It makes me want to go out and astral travel try, at least keep trying. See, and that's the thing too, is maybe I am astral traveling, but I just can't remember it
Yeah,
because I
you
haven't
probably are. I
perfected
think
the
everybody does. 'Cause
remembrance.
yeah, I think everybody at some stage in their sleep, they go to the spiritual realm to kind of recharge, and they just don't have any recollection of it because it is so different than the physical realm. Like, especially when you get to the higher places, like Lucky was talking about before, you're in the spherical body, so it's totally alien to what we know as humans. But I've caught myself, since I started writing all my dreams, I've caught myself having some experiences that might have been like those, like in the astral, but I was just unaware that I was in the astral at the time because I was doing like spiritual lessons in the very high spiritual realms at that particular time. So I think that everyone goes through that, but it's just very hard to recall those times. So they might not even be dreams. They might just be like when you're in deep sleep and your consciousness is just there, like not even in REM sleep. And like it's just so foreign to us that that we black out.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense. Well, by gosh, another hour has passed. It's gone so fast. Lucky, what do you make of all of this?
It's fascinating. It's like all spiritual gifts, you consider like they all the same, bucket, but it's different parts of it. And I fully admit that I cannot astral project, but I've tried and I really would like to. But again, then I can connect to my spiritual guides, and people would love to do that. They want to know how I do it. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. It's like I grew up on a horse farm, so I know how to ride horses since I was a small child. And as I got older, I would date girls, and she came teach me how to ride a horse, and I really couldn't. I could put them on the horse, but I can't tell them how to feel it. And so that's one of the things that a lot of these things in astral projection I'd like to learn, but I think I need to go back to the basics again and start, because I'm so far advanced here, but I have to take baby steps over here. And it's a fascinating topic, honest.
Yeah, that was such a good explanation, because I can surely relate to that. I had the same experiences there. And you're just like, it's like sleeping. I don't know how many of you out there have trouble sleeping, but I don't have that problem at all. I can count to 3 and I can lay down and boom, I'm out. And that's it. That's all it takes. And it doesn't take much. And other people, they can't fall asleep. And I just can't explain how to clear your mind, blank it out, and be to sleep in an instant, no matter what. Anyway, Ryan, what do you got? Final words for the night on all of this?
Yeah, no, I think even if people have trouble astral traveling, I'd still say to try. And I think the best way to start is to just keep a dream journal and just try to recall everything from your dreams as best you can. Just write it down, and then eventually you'll realize that you're remembering more and more and more frequently. So even if you just remember like just 2 little things that happen in one dream, in 1 week, one dream, and forget everything else the rest of the week, like eventually, like you'll start seeing, if you write that down, then the next time you remember anything, you write that down, you remember, it becomes easier and easier to recall. And it's just like incremental. So it's kind of baby steps. And then once you really get into the astral, I think the floodgates kind of open. So you just have to learn how to do it, get it down a couple of times, and and remain out of your body and not get snapped in, because that's another thing that happens to beginners. You come right back through this little cord once you realize you're out of your body. So you just have to just take it stepwise, like do each step, but just start with just recalling your dreams, because that's your subconscious. You could even do some like meditations on your subconscious, and could do like chakra work or whatever type of energy work that you're into. And just don't give your energy away to things that don't deserve it too, because you want to keep that energy so that you can use it for astral projection. Because if you deplete your energy during the day, then it becomes that much harder to do. But yeah, I'd say still keep trying, keep going for it, and like incremental steps. If you keep doing these small things, and then they'll just gradually increase your chances of becoming successful, and then eventually then you get to the point where you can do it.
Like anything else, practice makes perfect. And if you don't practice, you ain't going to get there. You can't just jump on that bicycle and ride away for the first time. You're going to fall down a couple of times and bum your knee out or something, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you for all the advice. I think that's right on the money. Everybody has ever talked about that has said this, you know, same thing. Keep a journal, keep trying, you know, you'll get there slowly, and then the next thing you know, you're whizzing away.
And one thing I wanted to mention, one other tip in astral traveling, like if you wake up in a dream, one way to have either a lucid dream or go into the astral is to like look at your hands or jump up. So some kind of cue, and you could even like think about it during the day. You could think like, oh, what would happen if I jump right now? I would fall I would end up on the ground again. Like you could do the same thing in the astral, like, oh, let me jump. And if you jump and you don't come down, then you know for sure you're in the astral. Sometimes if you look at your hands and they kind of like move around, they change, they shapeshift, then you know you're in the astral. So cues like that will at least get you awake within a dream, so that you can start having lucid dreams. And then once you get to that point, then you can create these wormholes and say like, I'm going to the astral, source, take me to this place. So these are just other tips, since this is an astral projection show. But like if people can wake up in a dream state and get to the astral from there, it's like a shortcut. So that's another way to do it. And those are some tips you can take from that.
Absolutely. What a fantastic night. I love it. And everybody, now remember, go out. Your Al is working on your cards. He's diligently hard working on the cards. He sent me a bunch of stuff. I'm going to give you guys an update this week on them. Don't worry. If you want, order some cards. The description should be in the thing below. Go to the Crystal Network. You can find them there. Thanks everybody for being in the chat. Thank you to all both of you for coming on. Ryan, thank you again. Lucky, thanks for making this a great show. I think Max Vision is doing some remote viewing right now, so go and check him out on his channel and do some remote viewing. He's got a great system. It'll improve your mind, help you with your astral travel. And don't forget to catch Nina on Sunday Night Live. She's always got a great show there. And we will be back again for Tuesday Live, Native American Myths and Legends. And during the week, we're going to do some little shorts. So don't forget to tune in for that, because I come up with all this cool, crazy stuff during the week. Everything from Yellowstone to Wild West. Makes me laugh. So there you go. Thank you both. Remember, everybody, be the frequency you want to receive. I love you all. Peace, everybody. And there we go.